No, I need to fix my stuff. The way that happened. Why do I have to walk out? Kenny, because it's scary.
That worked okay, Eden?
You're saying this.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, he missed everything.
Next week behind you, Anna.
Was it a permanent switch or you do?
We wanted to do the U shapes, but
I
we
love
went
it.
for one U, so.
Not a double structure, we can't use that word.
Yes. That,
Yes.
every seat in here is taken for this class. Is Ani here?
I wanted to help with the adjustment. I know, I need to help with
It is 11:10, so
that. Alright, ready?
Yeah, right.
Alright, students, it's time for a demo lesson. So, welcome. This is Miss Ryan. She's a student at Hillsdale College and is here to give you guys a demo lesson on history. You guys should have something to write with, something to write on. Be sure to ask questions, especially if she asks you if you have any questions. But other than that, I will turn it over to her and leave any other instructions to you. Great.
I will actually take the book
Yeah, sure.
to that chapter. Hi everyone, my name is Miss Ryan, as he said, and today we are going to be talking about the Mexican-American War, which I know you guys touched on a little bit, a little while ago, with talking about President Polk and expansions in the manifesto. But today we're going to dive a little more into the tensions and relationships between the three territories that were involved most in the Mexican-American War and leading up to it. Does everyone have a sheet of paper? Oh, man, I'm sorry. That's right, 25, so that would be 24, perfect. All right, so this is going to be all about relationships and what was going on leading up to the Mexican-American War that really caused it to happen. And so what we're going to have is we are going to split you all into the territories. So this half of the outside U is going to be Mexico. This half of the outside U, you guys are going to be putting USA. You guys are going to be Texas. And so what that just means is throughout our time together, I will be calling on you to tell me how you're feeling about the way things are going for your territory. So just remember, are you good, Mexico?
Yeah.
Okay, Mexico's over here. Remember which territory you are, and that will make us really understand what things feel like between these three territories. All right. So yeah, as I said, the year right now is 1845. And in the 2 decades leading up to this point, there's been a lot of political turmoil in Mexico. In 1821, they went through the Mexican Revolution. And since then, there have been several military coups, several regime changes, and so they are undergoing a lot of instability right now. And what that means is that Texas is also undergoing the same kind of instability, because up until the year 1835, Texas is an incorporated state of Mexico. Until, as we said, 1835. In 1835, that changes because Mexico undergoes its own revolution in which they declare independence. I said Mexico. Texas undergoes its own revolution in which it declares independence from Mexico. And that lasts until 1836. The very famous Battle of the Alamo happens in this conflict, among other important battles. In 1836, when they have won the revolution, Texas asks the USA to be annexed as a state. The USA at that time rejects Texas in 1835. So, where's my USA? USA? USA. Why do you think, spitballing here, why do you think you rejected Texas's petition to be a state?
Because we just like visit our country. We just
Okay, yeah, so maybe the US is developing and they've got a lot of other things going on. That's true. What other things might be taking up our attention right now in history? There is, right now, I'll give you a hint. Texas is largely full of, largely populated by slave-holding families. So why would that affect whether we want to annex them or not?
Because it would make it so the Southern had more voting.
Sorry.
They have more people more states. So
Yeah, absolutely. We'd be adding a slave state. And in 1835 and 36, Martin Van Buren is president, and he is not interested in adding another slave state. He does not want the tensions between the North and the South to get worse. And so that's a large reason why annexation is rejected, is number one, because of the issue of slavery in the States right now and the political turmoil there. We have one other big reason, and I'll give you a hint. Mexico. How do you feel about Texas's revolution?
angry.
Good. Angry.
Don't make it.
Don't like it. USA. What happens if you annex Texas immediately after the revolution?
Mexico.
Mexico. Absolutely. Mexico actually says, USA, if you accept Texas's petition to be annexed, we will consider that an act of war. So, USA, maybe you don't want war right now. That's a pretty good reason not to annex, right? So in 1836, those are the big reasons why that annexation doesn't go through. Mexican relations. Can everyone see everything okay? Wonderful. Okay. Wonderful. So that's our background here. Jump forward to 1845. John Tyler is now president, and he renews this process of annexation with Texas. And Tyler is more pro-slavery, and he is also interested in expansionism. I know you guys have talked about this already. Who can explain to me? Who can explain why? Who can explain expansionism and what you guys have talked about? Is this word familiar? It's connected to manifest destiny. Maybe that's the word we're more familiar with. Manifest destiny. Maybe too long ago. Yeah.
They were trying to get America to reach from coast to coast.
So sorry, what?
They were trying to get America to reach from coast to coast.
Coast to coast. Awesome. Oh, this is a great time to look at our map. We want expansionism means, and manifest destiny means they want America to reach from coast to coast. So here we have a picture of Mexico and America, and Tyler wants to reach from coast to coast, and this right here is Texan territory. So in Tyler's view, this is a good way to accomplish that goal. So he restarts the Texas annexation process right at the end of his presidency. He leaves the presidency without it having gone through, but James Polk assumes presidency. And given what you guys have learned about Polk, again, this might have been a little long ago, but USA. what do you think Polk is going to do in terms of this request of annexation? What do you remember about Polk? Any other U.S. Americans? Yeah.
He'll do it,
He'll do it? Why do you think he'll do it?
because he promised he would at the beginning, and he works really hard.
That's great, I love that. Yes, he works really hard, he gets things done, and he is also interested in Manifest Destiny. So Polk is going to, in 1846, make sure this annexation does happen. So Texas is officially annexed in 1846. Right, alright. So Polk is doing some other things at this time, and they are also connected to gaining more land. They're also connected to his vision of Manifest Destiny. Let's list a few of the other things that Polk is interested in. So he annexes Texas. That's number one. Texas, how do you feel? Yay, good. Texas is happy. Mexico, how do you feel? Great, boo, we don't like this. Mexico is angry about that. Texas is annexed. Number two, now that Texas has been annexed, Texas in the U.S. I'm gonna see if this works out. This will work great. Texas in the U.S. are now claiming that the border of Texas is right here, along Rio Grande. Mexico has historically claimed this to be the southern border of Texas, the Rio Nueces. So, right after annexing Texas, the USA is claiming, Texas and by proxy the USA is claiming the Rio Grande. As the border. Mexico, how do you feel about that?
That's all land.
That's our land. We're mad again. This is another thing that the USA is making these moves and Mexico is not pleased with. Number three, and this is all within the first 2 months of Polk's presidency, mind you. So like someone over here said, he moves fast. He's getting things done, right? Third, also in the first 2 months of presidency, Polk sends an envoy to Mexico. Sends envoy to Mexico, asking for. Let's go down. Asking if he can buy off this land up here. So everything that isn't Texas, right? Because Texas is already annexed, but all of this other land. He's asking if he can buy off California and the New Mexico territory from Mexico for $34 million. USA. This is a diplomatic mission. We're offering you money for your territory. We're being diplomatic here. Mexico, how do you think you receive this envoy?
No.
Why not?
Our land.
What?
Our land.
Our land. Tell me more.
Like,
He's offering to pay you for it though.
I don't want the money.
Not paying enough.
He's not paying enough. Interesting, that might be part of it. Overall, what actually happens is they don't even see the envoy. They reject him they reject his audience because of these other two things. They're already upset with this, and so they're not even really to talk to him about this because, as they see it, Polk is aggressively seeking to take their land, and so they're not really. Mexico, you're not really interested in having diplomatic relations with him at this point. So, 3 quick moves to expand the U.S. and follow Manifest Destiny by Polk, which leave Mexico feeling very. Leave Mexico feeling very. I guess defensive about their land. So, lastly, Mexico's response to the American envoy. America, how do you feel about how your envoy was treated?
Bad.
Bad. Not happy. Insulted, maybe? America's insulted, still wants this land. Mexico is also insulted. Everybody's insulted. And so, what happens is Polk, as we've said, he's going to get things done. He's going to get what he wants. And so what he does is he takes these two aims and he combines them into one. He's going to kill two birds with one stone. And I'll tell you how he does that. What he does, let's see if I can line this up. Let's see. Oh yeah. Alright. He sends General Zachary Taylor down with American troops down to the border of the Rio Grande, telling him, you're going to defend our land. Do not engage in hostilities unless you need to protect yourself from Mexican troops that attack you. Mexico, how do we feel about that? It's our land. US is like, let's go protect our land. Mexico's like, you're already on our land. Exactly. In the US's eyes, they're right on the border. In Mexico's eyes, this is the border. You're already in our land. Absolutely. So, on April 25th, 1846, all of these tensions that have been bubbling, they come to a head with what's called the Thornton Affair. The troops, Zachary Taylor's troops that are on the Rio Grande, they're attacked by Mexican dragoons, which are men on horsemen, and 11 are killed and the rest are taken captive. America, yes.
So the Mexicans got captured, or the Americans?
Sorry, the Americans got captured, yes. The Mexican killed 11 Americans and took the rest captive. USA, what do we think is going to be our response to this? Your men just got captured. War, exactly. Yes, Zachary Taylor sends a telegram to James Polk and he says, hostilities can be said to have commenced. And basically those words. Polk, in response, goes to Congress. And Polk says, American blood has been spilled on American soil. We must go to war. Everyone in the class, feel free to chime on this. What do we think about this statement? American blood has been spilled on American soil. Yes.
They had actually bounding it, and to the Mexicans, that's not their border. So it was on Mexican soil.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's already, as we've been talking about, there's gray area here. Is this American soil? Yeah.
I think that the U.S. and Mexico should have been clear about this.
That would have cleared a lot of things up, wouldn't it? Yeah, and that's what this whole dispute is about, is there's not clarity about this. Did you have your hand up? Did you want to say anything? You sure? Alright, sounds good. Where are we at? Yeah, this is ambiguous, right? And there are several political and military leaders that end up becoming presidents of the United States that disagree with Polk's view of this conflict and this view of what their troops were doing in that area. Ulysses S. Grant and Abraham Lincoln both protest in journals as well as to Congress whether this war is warranted and whether we really just provoked it by being there. But once hostilities start, once American lives are being lost, Congress votes overwhelmingly to back this war. So what ends up happening is, as we know, war begins, and the Americans win 3 major victories that seal the total war's outcome, which is an American victory. There are major victories at, let's see, we can't read this, Palo Alto, down here right on the coast. There is a major victory here at Buena Vista, where a very small group of American troops outlast a much larger Mexican force just by standing their ground. And this Mexican force needs to leave to actually go, where's Mexico City? Here we are. To actually go and defend Mexico City, where another American force takes their capital, which is Mexico City. And that is where the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, which I will spell for you, because I'm not mean. Treaty of That's where the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo is signed in 1838. The war lasts 2 years, from 36 to 38. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo accomplishes what Pope wanted it to accomplish. Remember, his two aims at the beginning of this war that he had already started pursuing with Mexico, his two aims as well as Texas' aim, was claiming the Rio Grande as the Texan. He already got Texas annexed, so that was a check. Now he has Rio Grande, if you see right here. This is the Rio Grande. So we now have Rio Grande as the Texan border, present day, because of the Mexican War. And then the other motive that he really wanted to happen, and that comes out of this war, is, this doesn't actually tell you, but you can write under that, that he wanted California and the New Mexico area, which he got.
What year was the treaty signed?
The treaty is 1848. 1848, 2 years after the war's beginning. So the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo secures the U.S. more than 900,000 square miles. If you look at this picture, which we actually maybe pull down so you can see this better. This is the U.S. before the conflict, and then this is all that we gain after the conflict. So this is a massive gain for what we know as the United States today. And in return, part of the treaty as well is that we pay Mexico $15 million, which if you remember is less than half of what we offered them at first in order to buy this land. And so this is the end of several decades of tension between Mexico and Texas, and then the USA coming in once they annexed Texas. And yes,
How many square miles did we get?
900,000.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there any other questions about this? Oh, yeah.
So I'm kind of confused about the border line.
Yeah.
So what was Mexico's territory before the Mexican?
Great question. Let's see here. I think this is what it is. Yeah. So in this map we see this darker orange. This is the U.S. This is the line that Mexico was claiming as their territory before the war. We were claiming this was Texas territory. But then, so all of this right here, Mexico was claiming as theirs. And this is the line right here that ends up being the border between the U.S. and Mexico. Yeah. So this conflict, not only does it represent the culmination of all of this happening in the last 2 decades, it also continues a lot of the questions that stand before the USA as they go forward. So remember is what conflict comes relatively shortly after this. It's 1848 here, a couple decades, we'll have
Civil War.
Civil War, exactly. And the Civil War comes to a head because of all the tensions among the states in terms of slavery, right? We're adding free states, we're adding slave states. You're getting more and more divided politically. And some of that comes from the consequences of the Mexican-American War. Texas is annexed, as we remember, and they become a slave state. All of this new territory is stuff that Congress now has to talk about. Is this going to be free states? Is this going to be slave states? And the result of this is that the Democratic and Republican parties are formed. And they really become, Congress really becomes split between Northern Republicans and Southern Democrats, as opposed to before there was a lot more gray area of if you're in the north but you're a Democrat, or if you're in the south or a Whig. It now really becomes about this southern, or northern southern divide. Yeah.
So this is the border nowadays.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, this is the better picture for that to show you. So you see this red is what we gained in the war. Here's our border now. You can see the real-time United States geography there. Yeah. Any other questions? Mexico, how do you feel? Yes. I see sad faces. Mexico, sad faces. USA, how do you feel?
Great.
Feel great. You got what we wanted, right? Polk, as we said, he got the job done in terms of what he wanted to accomplish. Texas? Great. Great. We're annexed? Yeah.
So do we want to become a state, or Texas, did Texas want to become a state, or did we
Yeah.
have to make one?
Texas, yes, Texas wanted to become a state. If you remember, in 1835, Texas applied for annexation a decade earlier. They were ready as soon as they got their independence from Mexico. Part of that is because they wanted protection to make sure that Mexico wouldn't come and take back that land, because Mexico, as soon as Texas won their independence, you think it's independence. You still see Texas as your land, and you want it back. So Texas and Mexico are really hard. Just good back, but Texas, you guys are looking to states for protection, and yeah, as well, you just want to be part of the republic, because there are a lot of actually Americans in Texas when it wins independence.
Did they care whether they were enslaved or free state?
Yes. So if you remember, like we said earlier, a lot of the people that moved into Texas, while it was still part of Mexico, I didn't mention this, but I'll give you a little blurb. Mexico opens up Texas to have Americans move in while Texas is still a Mexican territory. A lot of them move in, and most of them are slave-holding families. So when they become a state, they're interested in becoming a slave state, because most of them do have slaves. Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Are you gonna take it back over for the
Yes.
rest of your
I
period?
release you from your national identities. You can all be Americans again.
Yeah.
All right.